Bereft of sword and shield, Meve could not withstand a single blow. She thus danced atop the frozen snow, deftly dodging the Barbegazi's lightning-fast strikes, while delivering but a few well-aimed hits of her own, to their eyes, ears, and gaping jaws. When the last monster fell lifeless to the ground, Meve walked up to the shattered wagon. The soldiers it had carried were bruised, frostbitten, but alive.
Your Grace, we were sure you'd leave us.
A good ruler never abandons her folk.
Nor her gold.
Gascon interjected, while securing a rope to a chest. Soon enough, all were safely back on the path. The admiration Meve saw in her soldiers' eyes was in itself sufficient reward for her difficult battle.
Frickin' right!
Gods are blowing fair winds the day.
Yes?
Yes, Dwan? Some things cannot be forgiven.
Welcome to me inn. We've many folk today, but there's always room enough for more. Good to see you again. Welcome to me inn.
Man's left fresh snow today. Got a blow before too long, bring a rush down. Oh, cold as up a Shilem's ass. Braving the snow in those meagre courts, are ye? Truly. Throw yourselves here for a spell afore moving on. Oh, cold as up a Shilem's ass.
Meave now witnessed a sorry sight. A mass funeral for miners killed due to a tragic convergence of events. Their lead caskets lay upon the snow, wreaths of hop cones laid upon them in turn. The mourners waited for the diggers to finish. The digging was tough, for the ground was frozen. As the crunch and thud of picks and shovels continued, the dead miner's foreman scrambled onto a boulder to make a speech. Angry shouts and loud booing stopped him.
You knew it! You knew they'd smell vapors, but you ordered them to keep digging till it blew up in their faces!
Make the daily quota whatever the cost, eh?
You've blood on your mitts, whoreson!
A mourner then picked up a chunk of frozen ground and threw it at the foreman. Blood spurted from the gash that appeared on his forehead. The first dirt chunk was followed by another, then by a rock, a brick. Meave realized that if she did not intervene, the foreman stood to be stoned to death. Meave resolved not to meddle in dwarven affairs. She did not know what Mahakam's laws would make of the situation, nor was it certain the accusations against the foreman were true. She spurred her horse and led her force away, quickly leaving the cemetery and the turmoil behind.
Now, a speech for the fore-dwarf. Rot slow, ya whoreson.
Something had to be done quickly. Meave saw this clearly. She spurred her mount and rode into the cemetery, pushing through the throng, then stopping before the foreman, the horse shielding him from further blows.
Calm yourselves! Silence! His guilt cannot be decided here. It must!
Before Meave could finish her plea, a large rock thrown from the crowd struck her bosom, nearly knocking her from her saddle. Upon seeing this, her Lyrian escort lowered spears and drew swords and rushed at the angry mourners.
Back off! No one needs to die!
Are you mad? Don't shake that!
Know if anyone's got any hooch left.
We'll catch them all! Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Shite! There's sign of stopping!
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
They used to iron my tongue about that. Didn't interfere! Take your business! Now we must stick together.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Mahakam!
Hey?
Want a whiff of my axe?
If anyone asks, you've not seen me.
Double hole!
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Elven blarney. Scoia'tael! Attack!
I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away.
I'm afraid that's everyone, Your Grace.
The Queen managed to save the Fordwarf from being lynched, at a price. Many Lyrians emerged from the rumble heavily wounded. Losses among the mourners were much greater. The gravediggers dug the new graves with ease, as the previously frozen ground, warmed by the spilt blood, gave in easily to their shovels. When it was over, seeing what had happened, the Fordwarf fell to his knees and hid his face in his hands.
They had it right. Those miners died because of me. Because of my cock-up. And now, they're kin.
Though the Dwarven elders thanked Meve for stepping in and preventing the Fordwarves' lawless lynching, the Queen left the cemetery with a bitter taste in her mouth. Something had to be done quickly. Meve saw this clearly. She spurred her mount and rode into the cemetery, pushing through the throng, then stopping before the foreman, the horse shielding him from further blows.
Calm yourselves! Silence! His guilt cannot be decided here. It must!
Before Meve could finish her plea, a large rock thrown from the crowd struck her bosom, nearly knocking her from her saddle. Upon seeing this, her Lyrian escort lowered spears and drew swords and rushed at the angry mourners.
Shino Kren!
Isbel cried out. Her hands began to radiate a fierce light that blinded both dwarves and Lyrians alike.
Have you lost your minds, all of you together? Not had your fill of misfortune yet? Lower your arms at once.
Whether the power of Isbel's magic or the force of her appeal had the greater effect is difficult to say for certain. Either way, both sides suddenly lost the desire to fight. Meve breathed a sigh of relief, aware that if not for Isbel's intervention, a great amount of blood would have been spilled at that cemetery.
Well, we may have gotten a wee bit carried away. 'Tis good you brought back some order. Knew there'd be a stink cause of this. Knew there'd be a stink cause of this.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
This could hurt.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away. Bigger they are, easier they are to target. Thing about slings, they hide well.
Ah!
Hey?
Enough chit-chat. Draw your weapon.
Watch your heads!
As ordered. For you, pal! Anything.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Yes, yes, I'm on it.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Wait, you're serious?
Oh, sorry, Turnips back for an encore.
A knight should help. Our codex commands it.
The Lyrians ascended the highest section of the Mahakam Range. Snow crunched under their boots, cold air stung their lungs, and the wind snapped at their cloaks. Meve wiped sweat from her brow and turned to Reynard.
There! By the rocks! We shall...
The rest of her words were drowned out by a powerful blast. The entire mountain rumbled with a low, vibrating roar. The sound grew louder, echoing off the rocks, splitting their ears. The Lyrians looked around, disoriented. Few heard Gabor's warning.
Dinna just stand there! Get behind the rock! Quick! Hurry!
Meve followed the dwarf's gaze and cried out in terror. The snow stuck to the mountainside had started to slide down the slope, sending up mists of icy dust. Before she could react, the white torrent knocked her to her knees, crushing her and smothering her into the ground. All she felt after that was all-encompassing cold and fear. Meve survived. The dwarves who ran to the Lyrians' rescue dug her out of the snow in time. Some of her soldiers were not so lucky. The Queen looked at their bodies, blue, frozen. Next to them lay dead horses, demolished wagons. The losses were enormous. Meve wiped her cheek. Her tears burned her frozen skin. Gabor spoke a while with the leader of the Mahakam Guard Patrol that had come to their rescue. His face was dour.
What? What have you learned?
I tell you all in good time. First, you need a warm drink, good victuals.
No, Gabor. I need to find out what in blazes happened here.
Well, it was an avalanche.
Of course it was an avalanche. I'm no fool. But what caused it? What was that noise?
Signal horns. Ours.
So you brought this snow down on us? Dwarves!
Well, aye, but, unawares.
Explain, in brief.
See...
I'm extremely curious how one sounds a horn without being aware of it. That must be quite a sight.
Meve, let me explain.
I will. And the explanation better not sound like a clumsy excuse.
See, we clean our mount regularly. The way menfolk shovel snow off their roofs. Otherwise, the whole shebang would come tumbling down on our heads. When snow's gathered deep enough, we'd blast our horns to cause a controlled avalanche. Then we need to, sweep up a wee bit and the road's safe.
All well and good, but why did you decide to clean up right as I was passing through?
Wondering that myself. Schedule says next cleaning should have been a week frae now. But someone asked the route to be cleared earlier.
Who?
Meve, I'll tell you. But first, promise you'll...
Who?
Hey. Owain ep Clenvog, the Nilfgaardian emissary. Think it were meant as revenge for attacking their caravan.
The bastard. Reynard! Reynard!
Wait! Wait! I understand you're a wee bit upset, you've every right. But you'll never prove Owain meant you harm. The sly weasel will make sure he didn't dirty his own paws.
I've no such scruples. I'll find him and kill him.
And then? How'd you tell that tale to Bruva? Meve, you're justly taught, but for the love, just this once, let it go. Or you'll leave Mahakam with near a scrap to show for it.
Moments later, scouts reported Owain was camped to the north of the accident site. Meve had to decide how much she was willing to risk to get her revenge on the Imperial emissary.
By the elder sideburns, I'd no notion anyone was in the Vale. Nilfgaardians said the road was clear. The whoresons! What a mess. I'm so sorry. With all my heart. Nilfgaardians said the road was clear. The whoresons!
There, my lady,
whispered one of the scouts.
Left of the path.
Meve squinted. The Nilfgaardians had taken shelter from the falling snow under a rocky outcropping. The smell of roasting meat wafted from their campfire, and echoes of laughter could be heard. The black-clad soldiers had reason to celebrate. They had just decimated Meve's company without even drawing their weapons. Meve's gaze caught something else. A metal container into which the Nilfgaardians tossed bones once they'd been gnawed clean. It looked strangely familiar. Only after a moment did the Queen understand it was an overturned Lyrian helmet dug out of the snowy grave of one of her men.
The whoresons!
Meve hissed.
They'll pay for this.
Meve! Asking you last time, keep a cool head.
whispered Gabor.
You want vengeance? I get it. But think of the cost. If so much as a hair gets plucked from O'Vane's head, Bruver will never forgive you, and you can kiss any hope of aid goodbye.
Silence followed, finally to be broken by one of the scouts.
Milady, what's the order? Do we attack?
No,
said the Queen after long deliberation.
But milady, they...
I know what they did, and that I shall never forget nor forgive.
Said Meve, placing a hand on her scout's shoulder.
But breaking Dwarven law only plays into the Nilfgaardian's hand, causing us to lose allies and our chance for victory.
Meve brushed the snow from her trousers and straightened her spine.
Avenge our comrades we shall. Not here, but in the fields of Lyria and Rivia.
The Lyrians resumed their march with heavy, beleaguered steps. Their path still piled high with the snow brought down by the Nilfgaardians.
Await my signal.
The Queen stepped out from behind the rocks, put a hand to her mouth, and yelled,
Ovane! Ovane at Clenbog!
All laughter stopped in the Nilfgaardian camp. Moments later, a sumptuously dressed man stepped in front of the wagons. He wiped a thick sauce from his lips, then bowed with an exaggerated courtly flourish.
Queen, my condolences. That avalanche. Oh, what an unfortunate turn of events.
The mountains can be unpredictable,
Meve said with a shrug.
Accidents can happen at any time.
Oh, yes?
Even right now.
Meve leapt towards the emissary, placed two hands on his neck, and hurled him into a rock with all her might. The Nilfgaardian's head slammed against the stone, and his skull crumpled with a sickening crash. He fell to the ground and writhed a few final tremors.
Attack!
Meve roared.
Take no prisoners!
Githan Quan and Lyrian!
All right, that's no problem.
Order!
Take no prisoners!
Life is mine now.
Catch!
I smell a leak.
Wise choice.
For you, pal! Anything.
Now, how did that incantation go?
My scars? No, they don't hurt.
Not supposed to be any smoke? When will you ever learn?
My boots got sand aplenty in them.
Of course, as you wish, master.
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
Notice! All roads lead to Nilfgaard!
Discipline shall bring us victory!
Order will triumph! It must!
We should not have done this.
Meve showed no mercy for the Nilfgaardians in Ove Nepklenvog's camp. All would share their leader's fate. And the dwarves? As predicted, they were outraged by Meve's open attack on the Nilfgaardian emissary. Bruvahoog suddenly called for a council of the clan elders. They debated what to do with the Lyrians for a long time. The elders, outraged the Queen had once again defied their principle of neutrality, levied a punishing financial penalty, and threatened another such incident would result in a lifetime ban from entering the Dwarven Kingdom. While passing the mining settlement of Kolstock, Niamh heard the sounds of battle.
Hey-ho! Into the fray, lads!
Expecting she would see monsters swarming dwarves, the queen set off at a gallop to the rescue. Her braid blew about in the wind like a banner, showing her men in which direction to attack. The dwarves she saw, however, were not engaged in a battle against Shaelmars and Barbagazes. No, they were going at one another. Luckily, no weapons had yet been drawn, but given that dwarves have hands the size of bread loaves, this did not necessarily mean there would be no deaths.
Oi, lads!
Roared Gabor Zigrin.
What's this foolishness? Calm the hell down, damn it!
Gabor's intervention proved successful. The dwarves limited themselves to verbal jousting. Niamh, who was no stranger to barrack room talk, nonetheless turned crimson at the dwarves' cursing. Piecing together the obscenities, Niamh concluded they were debating an old quarrel about the height of a certain mountain, or rather of the twin peaks atop it. One of them lay in the territory of Clan Dahlberg, while the other in the Hoogsland. Each family felt their peak was the highest, all measurements indicating the contrary being total fabrications.
Queen?
Started Gabor, nervously chewing his moustache.
They're asking if you, as yin impartial and a fair-minded wench to boot, wouldn't wish to settle their Egypt squabble once and for all?
Niamh knew well that this type of age-old quarrel could easily end in bloodshed, so she resolved to help. Representatives of the two clans gave her a strange mechanism she was to use to measure elevation. All that was left was for the Queen to button her coat up to the neck and scale the twin peaks.
Time to end this delicate feud, once and for all.
When she and her force had travelled half the way to the first, she heard a long roar that made snow shelves detach and descend. Without waiting for her scouts to return with reports, Niamh drew her sword.
Eyes up, lads! They're flying straight for us!
Ah!
I smell a leak. You mad? Don't shake that!
My scars? No, they don't hurt.
Quite the clever little contraption they gave us. Work of a gnome, of course.
You sure about that?
We must trust each other.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth? Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Oh, could murder a pint.
Take those measurements and let's be gone from this place.
The Lyrians managed to repel the monsters and reach both peaks. Upon each, Meve ordered her men to take the measurements. While waiting, she admired the breathtaking view of the Mahakaman Massif. The dwarven contraption left no room for doubt. The peak within the Dahlberg clan territory was 2 feet higher than that within Hoog territory. Gabor was clearly displeased with the results.
Damn it all! I'd hoped you'd proved Brewer's clan was in the right. He'd have been content to see the Dahlbergs knocked down a peg or two. And, possibly, he'd have been more inclined to help you,
said the dwarf in frustration. Then, after a pause, he added,
Although, only you saw what the device showed, Queen. Perhaps you could, recalibrate the results a wee bit?
'Tis most lowly and ignoble.
Ake cried out in protest.
A knight his honor would never stain with such a lie.
Alas, no matter the result I give, half the dwarves will be displeased,
said the Queen, after considering.
Thus, if we err in taking the measurements, no great harm will be done, and the benefit to us could be significant.
Gabor just nodded in agreement. The Queen issued the relevant orders and took the 4 in the march down the mountainside.
Your Grace, 'tis not right.
Calm down, Sir Ake. What's the problem?
The deed you've committed, most foul. As the good book says, whosoever standeth idle in the face of evil proveth guilty of the same. Know that I never stand idle. Yet I cannot stop you from doing so. Thus I must leave. I refuse to play any part in the wickedness you perpetrate.
Sir Ake.
Farewell, Queen. And may the gods have pity.
To lie would be simple, true,
said Meve.
Yet to forget the matter would be so much harder. No, Gabor, I shall tell the truth.
The Queen's tone made it clear the discussion was over. Gabor let the matter lie, and Meve's force began its descent down the mountainside. The dwarves of both clans had been waiting with bated breath for the expedition's return and report. As soon as Meve announced the results, the Hoogs rolled barrels of beer out into the square and began to celebrate. Naturally, the Dahlbergs were disappointed, yet they accepted Maeve's results as final. At last, they had come to trust her. The dwarves of both clans had been waiting with bated breath for the expedition's return and report. As soon as Maeve announced the results, the Dahlbergs rolled barrels of beer out into the square and began to celebrate. Naturally, the Hoogs were disappointed, yet they accepted Maeve's results as final. At last, they had come to trust her.
Dalbergs are the dwarves we need! Every Hoogs are dunderheed!
For frostbite, you'd best avail yourself of some onion juice. Even better if you had a wee nip of vodka. Oh, snotters are frozen solid, and not just those in my beard. I got my nose too. Once we're neath carbon, we'll find our way to the tavern, set our arses down by the fire, and sip mugs of mulled wine. Once we're neath carbon, we'll find our way to the tavern, set our arses